Do you like the title of like self-help author? Do you like that genre, or do you see yourself differently?
I sometimes joke that I'm a self-hating self-help guru,
Okay.
which always throws people for a loop. Because the last person who's supposed to hate themselves is a self-help guru. I'm not a huge fan of the moniker, not because it's a bad moniker, but just because of all the trashy, cheesy stuff in the industry. Um, so it's just something I live with. I understand that like this is the industry I'm in, and I try to do the best I can with it.
So what are some of those things that give you pause about the self-help industry? Because I know one of the ones you talk about that resonated with me is like the self-esteem movement that came about in the 70s, and how that just kind of like all of the modern day ramifications of that, and Jonathan Haidt's The Coddling of the American Mind, and just
Yeah,
along those topics. So what are your thoughts on that? Because that seems to be one of the issues that you have with it.
yeah. It's my biggest issue. If I were to sum it up in general, I think the self-help industry is optimized to make people feel better, not to necessarily be better. And those are two very different things. Sometimes they happen together. Sometimes being better does feel better, but a lot of times being better does not feel good, especially at first, especially the first few times you're a better person, it's often excruciatingly painful. And so I think somewhere along the line, the industry really mixed those things up. In terms of self-esteem is one component of that. I think there are a lot of things that went into it. One is just that feeling better is much more marketable to a mass audience. Telling people like, hey, you're going to have to reevaluate a lot of your major life decisions and come to terms with a lot of your shitty choices and uh, painstakingly change yourself over a long period of time. Here, buy my book. Like, that's not an exciting sales pitch. Whereas like, hey, 3 steps to make you happy forever, that's a very enticing type of thing. But in terms of the self-esteem movement, I think it was a lot of well-intentioned people that just got carried away. Back in the 60s and 70s, this idea of self-esteem kind of emerged to the fore. Psychologists started doing a lot of research, and they generally found that people who performed very well in all sorts of different arenas uh, generally felt better about themselves. They tend to believe that they were good people and capable, and they were confident about themselves and all that. And at some point, people decided that, okay, they perform well because they feel good about themselves. So if we can just make everybody feel good about themselves, then everybody will perform well. And then nobody actually like stopped and to think about, maybe they feel good about themselves because they perform well. Maybe they got it
Who would have
backwards.
thought? Yeah.
Maybe you should perform well first and then you'll feel good about yourself. And so there was just a lot of this kind of this school of thought. It infiltrated the self-help industry. It infiltrated education. It actually infiltrated a lot of churches and religious movements in the
In
West.
sports, yeah.
Sports, absolutely. And so, by the time you get to our generation, it's like, everybody gets a trophy for showing up. And, everybody's a genius who just hasn't discovered themselves yet. And everybody is exquisitely special in their own way, even if they can't see it. And it's like, well, maybe not. Maybe actually, like, most of like, we kind of suck at most things we do. Like, humans are just pretty bad at most things we do. And maybe that's okay. Maybe we don't have to be like Steve Jobs or whoever, Bill Gates. Like, maybe that's fine. Like, you're not a bad person for not doing those sorts of things. So, you know, I sometimes think of my work I sometimes call it like a negative self-help. It's a self-help where the starting place, instead of the starting place being, um, you deserve to be happy, you deserve to feel better. My starting place is like, no, life is fucking hard and it sucks sometimes. Let's just do the best we can with that. understanding that that's always going to be true no matter what we do.
That's a jagged pill to swallow, but it seems like you're saying it's a hard thing to sell, but clearly based on your success, like there was such a massive hunger for a message like this. And I imagine that's just propped up by these like 30, 40, 50 years of being told, no, you're perfect the way you are. Everything's fine. You don't need to change. And it's like, well, no, because my life still sucks. And now you're telling me I don't have a reason for it to suck.
Yeah. And this is one thing that Jonathan Haidt talks about in his book, is that it's you're not serving when you raise an entire generation to believe that they are like a chosen one, that they are special and amazing and their life is going to be incredible and they can do whatever they want. As soon as they hit reality and they realize like, okay, wait, I'm not that special. I'm not very good at most things I do. I can't do anything I want. Everything's fucking hard. There's a real distress that happens. Like people get really, really upset, and a lot of people process that very internally. Some people kind of blame the world for being horrible and unfair, but I think most people kind of blame themselves. They're like, well, shit, I thought I was supposed to be amazing and special. And, here I am, like, pushing papers across a desk at 26, and I thought I'd be doing more by now. And like, that's a very, very upsetting thing to come to terms with. And so a lot of it, maybe it's just I'm trying to like make humility cool again.
Seems like it's working. Did you like what you just saw? Well, great, because our YouTube channel is chock full of tips on how to grow your online business and learn from the best in the industry. So make sure you hit that subscribe button so you never miss out. And if you're looking for the absolute best software for entrepreneurs at the lowest possible price, then you should absolutely head over to appsumo.com and subscribe to our email list. Heck, we'll even throw in 10% off your first order just to make it a no-brainer. Now, you're in on one of the best kept secrets in software.